You post it. A story, a photo, a sentence that felt honest 5 minutes ago. Then something shifts. You open the app again. Check who saw it, who didn't, who usually watches immediately, but hasn't this time. Your chest tightens. Your jaw locks. Your mind starts narrating a quiet disaster. Was that cringe? Why did I post that? They're judging me. I look desperate. Before anyone really had time to care, you delete it. Let's be honest. Deleting a story 5 minutes later isn't about the story. It's about exposure. It's about being seen and suddenly feeling unsafe. And if you've ever done this, posted, panicked, erased, you're not unstable. You're not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. You're regulating something much deeper. The truth nobody tells you is this. The urge to delete is rarely about image. It's about attachment. It's about shame. It's about a nervous system that learned, at some point, that visibility can cost connection. And here's the twist. By the end of this video, you'll understand that deleting that story isn't a flaw. It's a psychological adaptation, a coping strategy, a protection mechanism your body built long before Instagram existed. If this already resonates with you, subscribe. We go deep here. No anesthesia. Because what looks impulsive on the surface is often memory in disguise, and the behavior looks like a choice. But it's emotional history. Pause for a second. Notice your breathing. Did your body react just hearing this? That's not random. That's recognition. Let's break the illusion. When you post a story, your brain releases dopamine. Not because you're shallow, but because anticipation is chemically rewarding. Dopamine isn't pleasure. It's prediction. It's your brain saying something might happen now. Someone might react. Someone might validate you. Someone might see you. But here's what most people don't understand. Visibility is not neutral to a nervous system shaped by relational wounds. If you grew up in an environment where attention meant criticism, where being expressive led to embarrassment, where you were too much, too loud, or too sensitive, then being seen activates more than dopamine. It activates cortisol, stress, your amygdala, the brain's threat detector. Doesn't distinguish between a predator and social rejection. It scans for cues of exclusion the same way it scans for danger. And social media amplifies that uncertainty. You post. Now, your brain enters hypervigilance. Who saw it? Who didn't? Why hasn't that person reacted? Your window of tolerance, the zone where your nervous system feels safe and regulated, starts to shrink. You shift from balanced to hyperactivated, heart rate up, thoughts racing, internal narrative spiraling. This is where shame enters. Not loud shame, silent shame. The kind Brené Brown talks about. The belief that if they really see me, I won't belong. So deleting the story becomes regulation, not immaturity. Regulation. It's your nervous system trying to close the loop. To reduce exposure, to regain control, to shrink visibility before rejection has a chance to happen. Here's the paradox. The more sensitive and socially intelligent you are, the more aware you become of micro-signals. View counts, timing gaps, who skipped. Your brain starts filling in blanks. And when someone has attachment trauma, especially anxious or disorganized attachment, uncertainty feels intolerable. Esther Perel often speaks about how desire and fear coexist in intimacy. You want to be seen, but you fear what happens after. So you oscillate, post, panic, delete. The behavior looks dramatic, but the body is just trying to return to safety. Now here's where it gets deeper. Sometimes deleting isn't about fear of rejection. It's about internalized criticism, that inner voice that formed early, the one that says you're embarrassing. You're trying too hard. Who do you think you are? That voice isn't you. It's an internalized authority, a parent, a classroom moment, a peer group memory. Gabor Mate would say, trauma isn't what happened to you. It's what happened inside you as a result. And what happened inside you might have been this. Visibility equals vulnerability. Vulnerability equals risk. Risk equals loss. So you learn to preempt loss. Delete before you're rejected. Disappear before you're criticized. Control before you're controlled. Self-sabotage. Sometimes, but more often, anticipatory protection. And the algorithm doesn't help. Social media is designed around intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Sometimes you get high engagement. Sometimes you don't. Unpredictability intensifies anxiety, especially for a nervous system already wired for hypervigilance. Now, here's the question. If deleting is regulation, what are you regulating? Fear of being misunderstood? Fear of being ignored? Fear of being too visible? Because the story was never just a story. It was a test. A quiet attempt at connection. And when connection feels uncertain, control feels safer. In the next part, we're going deeper. Because not everyone deletes for the same reason. There are patterns, archetypes, and you will recognize yourself in at least one. Let's analyze the patterns. First, there is the hypervigilant observer. This is the person who notices everything. Who saw it first? Who didn't? Who always watches but didn't this time? You don't just post, you monitor. Your nervous system is trained for scanning. Hypervigilance didn't start with social media. It started in environments where reading the room was survival. Maybe you had unpredictable caregivers. Maybe moods shifted without warning. Maybe approval was inconsistent, so your brain adapted. You became emotionally intelligent, socially perceptive, highly attuned. But attunement without safety becomes anxiety. When you post a story, your body enters subtle alert mode. Your window of tolerance narrows. You start interpreting neutral events as signals. They saw it, but didn't react. They're online, but skipped mine. Your brain fills in the blanks. Rejection, disapproval, distance. Deleting the story is not weakness. It's your system trying to shut down perceived threat. It's self-protection. And here's the hidden strength. You are perceptive. You read nuance. You understand social energy in ways most people don't. But your nervous system hasn't fully learned that. Being seen is not the same as being attacked. Then, there is the image strategist. This type doesn't panic immediately. They analyze. They replay how they might be perceived. Was that too much? Did I look insecure? Does this align with how I want to be seen? This isn't vanity. It's identity management, often rooted in conditional belonging. If love was tied to performance, being the good one, the calm one, the impressive one, then self-expression becomes calculated. You learned early that being authentic could disrupt connection. So you built a curated self, not fake, but optimized. When you post something spontaneous, unfiltered, emotionally honest, your internal critic activates. Cognitive dissonance appears. This doesn't match the composed version of me, so you delete. Not because it was wrong, but because it felt exposed. The truth. You're not superficial. You're navigating the tension between authenticity and acceptance. And that tension is exhausting. Next is the survivor of criticism. This one deletes fast, almost impulsively. The moment doubt appears, it's gone. Because somewhere in your past, expression led to humiliation. Maybe subtle, maybe overt. A comment, a laugh, a comparison. Your system learned that visibility invites evaluation, and evaluation can wound. So now, the moment you feel even a hint of vulnerability, your body activates an old script. Erase, disappear, minimize. This is not drama. It's trauma memory. Trauma is what happened inside you. And what happened inside you might have been this belief. If they see me fully, they will reduce me. So you preempt the reduction. Delete before the verdict. But here's the deeper layer. You are not fragile. You are protective. You developed emotional armor. The problem is, armor also blocks intimacy. Then we have the anxious connector. This type posts to feel close, to feel connected, to test proximity. Will they respond? Will they notice? Do I still matter? If you have anxious attachment, uncertainty feels intolerable. Silence equals threat. Delayed response equals withdrawal. You post as a microbid for connection. When the response doesn't come quickly enough, your nervous system interprets it as abandonment. Cortisol rises. Your chest tightens. Deleting the story becomes a way to regain power. If they didn't see it, they can't ignore it. This is emotional regulation through control. But underneath it, longing. You don't want attention. You want reassurance. You don't want views. You want safety. And here's the paradox. The more you crave closeness, the more fear of rejection intensifies your behavior. So you oscillate between visibility and retreat. Finally, the self-sabotaging minimalist. This one is quieter. You post something meaningful. Then you hear an internal whisper. Who do you think you are? This isn't you. Stay small. This is internalized shame. A belief that taking space is dangerous. That being expressive is excessive. Often rooted in childhood environments where needs were minimized, where being low maintenance was praised, where being easy kept the peace. So now, whenever you take up digital space, something inside you contracts. Delete. Not because you regret it, but because expansion feels unsafe. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You might not fear rejection. You might fear your own visibility, and visibility requires self-permission. Now pause. Which type made your body react? Not which one sounds logical, which one made your stomach tighten. Comment below. Naming the pattern is the first step to organizing yourself internally. Let's bring this together. You don't delete because you're inconsistent. You delete because your nervous system is negotiating safety. What looks like insecurity is often regulation. What looks like overthinking is often hypervigilance. What looks like self-sabotage is often anticipatory protection. Here's the real reason you feel too much, or not enough, after posting. Exposure activates attachment memory. When you share something, even something small, you are not just uploading content. You are revealing self. And for a brain shaped by relational unpredictability, self-revelation is not neutral. It is a risk assessment. Your amygdala scans. Will I still belong? Will I be ignored? Will I be judged? If your early experiences taught you that love was inconsistent, conditional, or easily withdrawn, your system learned something powerful. Visibility must be controlled. So you post because you want connection. Then you delete because connection feels dangerous. This is not contradiction. It is ambivalence rooted in attachment. Daniel Siegel speaks about integration, the ability to hold opposing experiences without fragmentation. You want to be seen. You want to feel safe. When those two don't coexist internally, you oscillate, expand, contract, reveal, erase. Now here's the part most people miss. Deleting the story is not the problem. The shame about deleting? The internal narrative that says, why am I like this? Normal people don't do this. I'm so unstable. That narrative is the real wound, because it disconnects you from compassion. And without self-compassion, regulation becomes harder. Your system stays in alert mode longer. You become harsher with yourself, which increases cortisol, which increases anxiety, which increases the urge to control. And the cycle repeats. Here's the deeper layer. Sometimes the issue isn't fear of rejection. It's fear of indifference. Rejection at least confirms you were seen. Indifference feels like erasure. And if you grew up feeling emotionally unseen, digital silence can hit deeper than you expect. This is why your reaction feels disproportionate. It isn't about 80 views. It's about old invisibility. It's about younger versions of you who tried to express something and felt ignored. Your body remembers, even if your conscious mind doesn't. If this is resonating, it's not coincidence. It's your nervous system recognizing an old pattern. Most people quit self-reflection right here, exactly when emotional change would start becoming visible. Because this is the uncomfortable point. The point where you realize the problem isn't social media, it's the meaning your nervous system assigns to visibility. And here's the empowering truth. You are not broken. You are patterned. Patterns can be understood, and what is understood can be integrated. Integration does not mean forcing yourself to never delete again. It means noticing the impulse without attacking yourself. It means asking, what am I protecting right now? Not with judgment, with curiosity, because curiosity widens the window of tolerance. Shame shrinks it. Curiosity expands it. You don't need to become someone who doesn't care. You need to become someone who feels safe, caring. There is a difference. So next time you post and feel the urge to delete, pause. Notice your breath. Notice your shoulders. Notice the story your mind is telling. Is it about now? Or is it about then? You are not strange. You are complex. In a world addicted to performance, your sensitivity is not weakness. It is depth. And depth always feels risky in shallow spaces. Now I want to ask you something honest. When you delete your story, what are you really afraid of? Silence? Judgment? Or being truly seen? If this reflection helped you see your psychology with less guilt, share it with someone who lives in emotional survival mode, and hit subscribe. The Psychology Unseen is not a channel, it's a mindset.